Here's Paul.
Can you hear me?
Hear you well.
Can you hear me? Good. Let me see. So, Rhoda, are you running the show?
I'm the make-believe host tonight, yeah.
Oh, the make-believe host. Good. All right. Well, welcome everybody. Any new people here? Yes or no? Oh, we have Eileen. Nice to meet you, Eileen. How did you hear about this?
Are you hearing me?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, how did I hear about this? I've been watching some of your videos on somewhere. I don't even know where I found them. And what I was most drawn to, I'm from Long Island originally. I live in North Carolina now. And the crazy thing was like the accent just pulled me. You know, like I just heard that accent. I'm like, oh, this is a homeboy. So, and then I went on the website and saw that this was there. So that's how I heard.
Oh, great, great. Well, where in Long Island were you from?
Plainview.
That's one of the towns that can't get the message, so sorry.
That can't what?
Get the message. Yeah, this certain places just null and void your opportunity for awakening. Yeah, Plainview's one of them. Yes, so sorry. You need to be on the South Shore. That's where it was.
Where
Yeah.
were you from?
All right. Rockville Center. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So sorry. I'm really sorry. Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah. There's yeah. You'll have to go through a lot more pain and sorrow. I'm joking. I'm joking, honey. Welcome. Anyone else is here? Yeah. Well, there's a lot, there's a lot of speakers of non-duality. Yes, I imagine now. I haven't listened to anyone in 20 years or so. Even back then, there was a few, and you know, as the Course in Miracles says, the purposes can't be beat, but the means could be different. Yeah, and the means could affect how much time you may go through or not. And so the means that, if you want to call it that, the means we use in this presentation is negation. Yeah. So the assumption is, if we are what we're looking for, then what is that's looking for it? Yeah. Because obviously, if we are what we're looking for, that should be clear, shouldn't it? That if you were what you were looking for, the looking for would have no interest. Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, if you are what you're looking for, it sort of negates the importance of looking for it. It sort of actually paints looking for it as a deterrent to the recognition of what you are. Yeah, it goes that extreme. It's not a minor little aberration. It's really a form of blindness, if that's the fact. Now, this is the assumption that non-duality, it isn't into arguing it or not. It's just assuming that the fact that you are what you're looking for, the seeker is the sought, not the seeker and the sought. The seeker is the sought. These statements of you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha implies that you're the Buddha. Yeah, that's the whole point. And that you may be, as the Buddha, aka Paul, using the Buddha to seek the Buddha. So they're just sharing with us, you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha. That is that's not directed at Paul. That's directed at the Buddha. Yeah, Paul is again in non-duality. Paul is that sense of Paul is what's negated by the fact of non-duality. Yeah, and then what happens if you hear the message based on negation? The understanding you'll have is mostly about the misunderstandings you're living as or living from. Yeah, it won't be another understanding that combines with the other understandings or maybe supercharges the other understandings. It actually it reveals the understandings as misunderstandings based on the premise that you aren't what you're looking for. Yeah. So non-duality's premise is you are what you're looking for. Yeah. Because if you aren't what you're looking for and you really want those qualities of what you are looking for, you better really look for it. Yeah. Because basically the only way you're going to have those qualities is by finding that which you're looking for. But the fact is you are that which you're looking for. You already are and have those qualities, and that your desire to get those qualities and achieve them and have them stabilize is really an act of denial of the fact that you are those qualities. That's the assumption of non-duality. Now, it's sort of like one time, a couple of years ago, a friend of mine who I traveled with a lot, I hadn't seen her in a long time. She was coming into San Francisco, and she wanted me to meet her and have a cup of coffee. And so I picked her up at the Moscone Center. She was, and she had become like, I always mix up psychiatrist, psychologist, but she was one of those. And so she wanted to have a talk with me. And so she started out with her talk, and the premise is we're real things in a real place, yes? And then she presented a whole story about improving that real person in this real place against terrible odds and shit like that. And it went on and on and on. And based on the assumption that this is a real place with real people, it was quite logical, yeah? Now, I don't have that assumption, so I decided let's not talk and just go have a coffee, yeah? Because we're not going to come to any meeting point because the assumption that your whole case, let's say, is based upon, I don't agree with that assumption. I don't believe this is a real place. I don't. Yeah? It appears to be real, that I give it, but I don't believe it's real. Yeah, and I don't believe we're real things that come and go. So this is the whole idea. It's sort of like it's sort of like, all right, I'm going to have a little non-duality, get a big hit of martyrdom and stuff like that, and mix it up and think it's going to be like a spiritual cocktail. Non-duality is negating seeking. It's not negating seeking, actually. It's negating the seeker. Yes. So it doesn't say the seeker and the sought. It says the seeker is the sought. It just shrinks something into the fact that you are what you're looking for. And so if that's the case, then, and it doesn't seem to be true to us, we better find out about this us, yeah? That it doesn't seem to be true to. Because it's true, in my feeling. So basically, it's not true to us, but it's true. So let's see if us is true. Yeah? Let's see if there is a doer when there's all this doing. When there's all this seeing that can't really be argued with, is there actually a seer? And a seer that's before all the seeing. And it's actually the seer that's doing the seeing. Yeah. That's what's in question. So if I'm not, instead of trying to, all right, I only want to see lovely things, I'm going to avoid seeing bad things and trying to do this, we lose interest in all the weight and meaning that's given to what we see because we've lost interest in being the seer, yeah? Because the seer is really where a lot of meaning is being given to the seeing. So if you want to change the meaning of all the seeing, change the meaning the seer. It's just much more economical and efficient, yeah? Because you see a lot of things. Yeah, so do you want to keep going through everything you see and let's tone down the meaning? And it just doesn't work. But if you lose interest in the seer, you're going to have a whole different take on what's being seen. You will. It's just the way it goes. Yeah. And that's how you find out you're onto something. You find out you're onto something because shit happens. Something occurs. And it's sort of like, oh, I don't know what this button does, but when you press the button, let's say all these doors open up and windows open up, you've just found the escape, so to speak. So the button is this idea, yeah? The idea, instead of pushing it and then trying to affirm the truth of it, you just negate the fallacy. Yeah, you negate the idea of being a someone. You don't have to affirm the oneness, just negate the two-ness. You'll find out what's happening, yeah? You'll find out. You'll bypass having to know. You'll find out. You'll have a direct sense of something with no intermediary of knowing and then maybe not knowing, or remembering and then forgetting, or arriving and then leaving. You'll bypass that. You won't believe you arrived because the basic premise is when it dawns on you, it tells you on having never left. So you never really left any place to arrive back there, yeah? So this is the feeling of the spirit that it's shook up in me over the years. It's almost really a loss of interest in what you're not, and then you'll find what's gained interest in, yeah? I don't even want to say, because then people think that's the path. There is no path. It can do whatever it wants, but there is definitely a loss of interest, let's say, in the need to be liberated, because you realize you're not that which needs to be liberated. You really do, yeah? Or the idea, I need to get out of the body. You know what's proclaiming that is a body identification. You get out of the idea of the body identification. Now you're not screaming, I've got to get out of the body. You just don't, yeah, you just lose interest in all these fake launches to the transcendent. Just forget about it. You give back the tickets and you redeem a huge amount of value. Yeah, because now you are what you're looking for. It's not like you are, and then there's 50 pages of requirements that you have to fulfill to be what you're looking for. The fact is, you are what you're looking for right now. Yeah, we just don't think so. And the head has had a huge investment. Can you imagine the spiritual pride of the head when it realizes, I've been doing shit for 30 years, and it was, of course it doesn't want to give up the story. Who wants that to happen? Who wants to feel like a complete ass? Hopefully, there's no one who is an ass, but there's something that doesn't want to confront, hey man, I've been on the wrong track all these years. Jesus Christ. Especially if you have a job that's paying money, like as a teacher or something. I mean, the teacher wants it to be a secret. You don't see many teachers sitting 13 hours with you at the retreat. You don't see that usually. They're having a latte in the back. They're chilling out. They know better than that, really. So, yeah. If you come here, just stick with it for a while, because it goes against the grain, or let's say the mental logic. It doesn't complement the mental logic. It really confuses the mental logic, which is its point, really. And we're not really talking to Eileen or Paul or Inca. We're trying to really get through Eileen because she's the impediment, really. And we're talking to what you are, hopefully about who you are, instead of talking to who you are about what you are. It's just much, it works. That's my humble finding, is that it works. So the premise of non-duality is, being reality ourselves. It makes no sense to want to attain reality. That's the thing. Like Ramana said, a beautiful statement, the greatest mystery that he's ever come across is reality wanting to attain reality. Yeah. And then he says it, being ourselves reality. Yeah. So that's the premise of non-duality, I feel. Yeah. And then, of course, the only direction then it would take from that fact is negating the assumed facts. Yeah. That are causing us to seem to be separate from what we can't be separate from. Yeah. It's just it's the understanding of non-duality is really just it brings into contrast or into the light misunderstandings. Yeah, that's its only purpose. And those misunderstandings are negated. You don't need an understanding really to be what you are. Yeah, it may be helpful though when you're traveling, but in the being of what you are, understanding isn't essential. Yeah, but to have an understanding of all the misunderstandings can be very helpful. Yeah, because that's what happens. The other things I practiced or met this life didn't bring into stark contrast the basic misunderstandings, but that non-duality has. Yeah. So in a sense, non-duality, in my experience, in this event called Paul, was and is the last answer. Yeah. When I heard it and it landed, it was like an unspoken yes. And then basically it's just been reverberating ever since. And I've lost interest, complete interest in the topic of me or as what I am. I just think it's ridiculous. Yeah. So I much rather learn about what I'm not, because that strengthens the sense of being what I am. Tell you that's how it works. So yeah. So premise, you are what you're looking for. If there's any direction, it's negation. What is it negating? Misunderstandings. Yeah? Yeah. You being called you all day and being referenced as a body by the mental processes, to just share that, to have that revealed, and to see that the sense of Paul is manufactured. Yeah? The sense of Paul does not come from I am. The sense of Paul comes from I was, I will be, therefore I am. Yeah? The sense of Paul is remembered in the future and in the past. That's why the past and future are essential. For something that isn't truly here and isn't truly so, it would have to appear to be true. And how does it appear to be true now? It appeared to be true then, and it appears to be true in the future. That's how it arrives at its reality, which is manufactured. Yeah, we are way before that, and every drive to get out of what you think if you're trying to get out of what you think you're in and you're not in it, the getting out of it is the bigger in, isn't it? Yes, yeah, that's the message. So. Yeah, that's the message. And to me, it's very disarming. And, instead of living a life withholding yourself for a future magical mystery tour, you're present all day, You're, you're as available as you're ever going to be right now. Yeah, and you don't get gypped. Yeah, you have yeah. I'm here sleeping, awake. It's just, incessantly here. So, yeah, if I can be of any help, I should knock that bad habit off really shortly, hopefully. But I will, yeah. If you want to try to get non-duality, it will be great also because it will fail you, and that's the way you'll lead to the disarming. You know, you can't lose, basically. If you try to get it, you ain't gonna get it. If you admit you're not gonna get it, you still ain't gonna get it. Because you are it. How are you gonna get what you already are? How? Tell me. You'd have to be something else. Is it that important to get it that you want to be that something else? That's the only possible way, and it won't happen, but at least there'll be hope that it may. Yeah? You'll have to be something else to get it. Do you really want to have that? Is it that cherishing to be that something else? I mean, the Course catches it. If you have any into miracles, I think it's, he says a beautiful many things. It is, you've made to be yourself. All right? Faith in this something else that you, like what we're speaking of. And an active denial of what you are while you're first self. There you go. Yeah. An example of that firm in faith, you may get the experience of what you are actually being. So go ahead. You'll be firm in faith in this something else. When it fails you, faith in the something else was an active denial of what you are. So the looking for it is a denial, ultimately. Looking for it isn't you are it. Yeah. See how you can wiggle out of that. Yeah. You're the firm in faith in the something. In the case, that's an active denial of what you are. Any person I meet today, if I say, do you realize you're in the active denial of what you are? No, they're not. They don't see it at all. It's like, right now, no. But are you firm in faith in this something else you made to be yourself? Wait a minute. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe. Well, there you go. But no one thinks they're in the active denial of what they are, do they? Do they believe that they're in the active denial of what they are when they're praying and longing to have that union? But in fact, that may be the case, yeah? Like we had someone here a couple weeks ago. I'm not against effort. I'm just presenting the futility of effort. And if it fits, wear it. If it doesn't fit, do effort, and you'll get, the futility will be revealed on your own time. Yeah, but the fact is, there's a futility in effort. Yeah, especially if it's concerned about efforting to become what you already are. There has to be. That would be the greatest message of love if you're attempting to effort yourself into what you already are, that the efforting would be a super bummer. Yeah? Because something's trying to tell you, get off this bus now. Yeah? The local to hell and the express to hell is basically the same bus. You just get out now. Yeah? If you don't see, I have effort for my physical health. That's not futile. Yeah? I don't feel like I'm doing it. But I have a routine to keep my body certainly going because it has it has certain problems and shit. And with a simple, thank God for a simple things I do, it keeps it in somewhat good shape. Yeah, that effort works because I'm working on something that I'm not. But to try to effort myself into what I already am doesn't work. Don't you see it? That's the futility of non-duality. Most people would have been happy if they never heard non-duality. They wouldn't have. Because most things, cheerlead your effort. They want you to make more effort. And maybe they'll work. Who knows? But some of the people that have come here, something has happened. I mean, there's 300 years of efforting on these Zooms right here. And this just the 9 squares that I'm looking at now. I can see the effort, the years of efforting are totaling up. I got a little graph at Rhoda. She's up to 21. And there's Inca. She's like 28, going to 30. And there's years and years and years of efforting. Yeah? Of course they produce some value. It was you, what you really are, efforting. So there's nothing really lost, but it can confound you. Yeah? If what you are is looking for what you are. It's Huang Po, great masters have said it. They say you can do it for eons and nothing's going to happen. You can use the Buddha to seek the Buddha, and he's implying that you're the Buddha, and you can do it for eons and nothing's going to happen. Yeah? Wow. I don't want to use the Buddha to do that. Well, that may be exactly what we're doing. That's the whole point of the non-duality. It's trying to bring to light something that may not be obvious. You may have a misunderstanding that you're Paul while actually you are the Buddha. Yeah? And Paul using the Buddha, or Buddhism to seek the Buddha makes complete sense. But the Buddha using the Buddha to seek the Buddha doesn't make sense. Yeah? We're questioning the Paul, not the Buddha. We spent tons of years questioning the Buddha with complete faith in the Paul. Look at what happened to us. We're now turning that around, and let's question the Paul. Maybe it's the Buddha. And then when you hear you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha, you're in complete agreement. You recognize it. You recognize the efficacy of that statement. You do. Yeah. I mean, wouldn't it be lovely if you could learn from others who did so much efforting and they get back to us and say, the efforting was futile. I shared it here that time. I was reading years ago this Buddhist magazine, Tricycle. Beautiful. Yeah, beautiful talks in there and editorials. And then I came upon an editorial from a Western meditation teacher, and he was complaining about this phenomena he was having with all his old students. They were all getting in touch with him and said nothing happened after 20 years of practicing. And I said, fuck, get off the bus. I pulled the emergency brake. I'm going to learn from people. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for your service. That was so valuable. I just went, what? Yeah. So, yeah. This isn't for everyone or at every time. It isn't. Yeah. Especially there's nicer people than me that are presenting it. Quite nicer, I imagine. But this is how I saw it, and I've continued to see it. Yeah. I was open for, the premium version. I never got it. It was always the dog shit version. Yeah. Just pure, just like, you just can't use yourself to find yourself, really. So there you go. Anyone, Rhoda, you want to see if anyone, yeah.
I don't see any hands so far. Although JTM is applauding for sure.
Hmm?
We have applause, no hands.
I've
That's
got a question.
Okay, Connie, all yours.
Okay. Paul, it occurs to me that, and this might be an oversimplification, but it occurs to me that we're never in love with a person. What we're in love with is kindness or niceness, and the same. Then of course the same would be true as, we never dislike anybody. We just dislike aggressive actions and just
Yeah. I'm
and I get
losing you a little.
sorry.
I lost some of it, what you said. Last thing I heard was the aggressive actions.
Yeah, I'm just saying that in on our spiritual path, we're talking about uh, 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 love and being in love. But what we're since we're not claiming those or projecting those on anybody, what we're really in love with is just niceness, is just kindness, is just.
Yeah, I'm losing you a little, but yeah, kindness is a nice word to end on. Yeah. Well, my feeling about this is, let's say, greed. I don't think there's greedy people. I think greed expresses through people. Yeah. The same thing with kindness. I think we're more of an interface. We're not really that thick. We're an interface, and things move through us, and no things move through us. And like if you've ever seen there's a famous mandala for in Tibetan Buddhism, the Wheel of Life. Yes, and it's being held by the god of death, Yama, and it tells a story about humans and getting struck by ignorance and stuff, and what happens. And the hub of the whole wheel, and then it has like the realms, celestial realm, God realm, animal realm, whatever, all these things. And in the middle, they have three animals. They've got I think, a pig, a rooster, and a snake. And they represent greed, malice, ignorance, greed, and malice. Yeah. So they're the basic winds that are blowing this manifestation, in a sense. Yeah. Now there's no one that's greedy, but greed comes through. Yeah. Malice comes through, kindness comes through, compassion comes through. Yes. Enlightenment comes through. Some people, enlightenment, or whatever you want to call it, has come through, and then that person continued as an action figure and went into dementia, and their followers were quite perplexed because they thought the body was enlightened, and now the body has its pants on backwards and doesn't know what the freak's going on. Yeah. And they're confused because they identified what was moving through that body as the body. Yes. This is what we call the selfing. There's an act of being identified as the doer, and the doer is pictured as a body. So when enlightenment occurs, we think there's a doer of enlightenment. But there's enlightenment, there's awakening, there's greed, there's kindness, there's love, yes? Now maybe, just maybe, if certain understandings have an effect, you start leaning in a certain way that certain things that may not have been attracted through this little presentation start coming through the presentation, yes? But there's a great understanding in the presentation that it is not the doer of what's coming through. It's the conveyor. It's not what's being conveyed. And to me, that's a very, very strong sense of humility. you realize in AA, we say, in recovery, we say, you know, you're going to suddenly realize that something is doing for you what you can't do for yourself. Well, that's not just on grand and loving levels. It's on every level. Every level, something is doing through us what we can't or wouldn't do through ourselves. Yes. So I don't believe there's a person. I believe there's a lot of activity, and then there's a lot of expression, and there's a little very thin little divider called Paul. And a lot of stuff's coming through Paul. Yeah. Now, if Paul owns the stuff, the owning of this stuff sort of does something. Yes. And usually what it does, if Paul takes a position, that's a bad move, because it's usually going to get knocked out of that position and be the butt of a cosmic joke. So if you, yeah, yeah. So this idea of kindness and everything, I don't attribute it to a body. Yeah, to just put it that way. Yeah, but I do believe that when the mind is in a certain calibration, let's say, it usually picks up different broadcasts than viciousness, resentment, you know, vindictiveness, wanting to harm others. Those things, those frequencies don't play as well as before. Yeah, but in a way, you can't blame the radio for the music that's being played through it. You know, it's just the radio is just a transmitter. It's not selecting the playlist. Yeah. So, yeah, that's sort of how I see it, Connie. Yes.
Thank you, Paul.
A lot of people get disappointed, like in recovery. In my own experience with that community, there have been giants of recovery, people that have been sober 30 years, and then they go out. Yeah. And they had a long lineage of people they helped and everything. Not like they didn't help, but it's very confusing because they believed that person was the epitome of sobriety. They weren't. There's not a person. They were being used to express something, and then conditions changed, and now something else is expressing through them. Yes? It's hard when you see a saint turn into seemingly a sinner. Yeah. But it happens a lot because this is a dualistic expression here. Yeah. Yeah. You can see it. Remember when we were younger, I don't know, in the 70s, 60s, when I first got interested into spirituality, there would be a wave of teachers from the East. Yeah. And they used to have this statement about Lila, which was called the divine play. But basically, they all had the same divine play. They acted out for power, sex, and money. So after a while, you weren't being fooled by the Lila. You said, why don't you try humility? And, you know, shit like that. Will be completely surprised then. But you know what I mean? It's like, it's a strange thing that happens when power comes through this thing. Yeah? Yeah. So, yeah.
Paul JT has his hand up.
Hi, Paul. Hi, everybody.
I
I was last Sunday just gone. I was traveling pretty light for a little while, and I thought back. I was brought up as a Christian, you know, and I thought back to about 20 years before, in my 30s, and I thought I had a crack at reading the Bible when I was 30, and I got through about 300 pages, and it was just too hard. It sort of wasn't for me. But I remember one part I read was how God created everything, and I can't remember in which order, like the first day he created the oceans and the sky, and the second day he created the birds and the bees or whatever it was. But on the sixth day, he created man. I think I'm right. But the little thing that really meant something to me that I remembered, and I might be getting this slightly wrong, I'm not sure, is he created man in his eye or something like that. It sort of said, and I straight
His
away,
image, yeah.
so he created himself is what I think. And a penny dropped again for me, because all the rest that he created wasn't himself, but when he created man and woman, it was himself anyway. I don't know if you get that, because I sort of half get that. But I just thought I'd say it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Well, the thing is, a lot of us, when we hear we were made in his image, we think his image is a body. Because we're identified as a body, yes? So we're thinking God's a body, and I'm made in his image. We're made in, yeah.
Which I spent 30 years like looking for God's body, Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I always sent a pair of socks every Christmas to heaven, yeah.
Yeah.
Could use them, I don't know. Yeah.
I had a vivid image of him for years and years. He was this old guy with a big grey beard and a crook and in a big gown. I don't know why I had that. I think I was in church one day and they asked me to picture an image of God, like the priest asked me to picture, which I did, everybody.
You know what they did with the image of Jesus Christ? He's got blue eyes. He looks like he's from Santa Barbara.
Yeah. I was thinking about that. I actually, the day after, thought about that too. My daughter asked me the day after that what I told you. I was out having tea with my daughter and my granddaughter, who's only 7, and my daughter said to me, "Hey, Dad, can you tell Dempsey the difference between Jesus and God?" And I fumbled round. I didn't know what to say. I can't even remember what I said, but I think I gave her the wrong answer. And then I went home and went, well, Jesus was just God as well. Like Jesus was just it all too. And I think maybe God put him down as a shape or a body just so people could get it, but they still didn't get it. They still didn't get it. So anyway.
But remember, people wrote the Bible, so they're like, God made himself in our image. He's got to look like a serpent. He's got to have blue eyes. Yeah. Well, I'm only interested in one thing: is just see what you're not. Everything gets revealed from there.
Yeah.
It truly does. Because that is the basic conundrum. As Ramana said, the greatest mystery is you being yourself reality, wanting to attain reality. Yeah. I concur completely now. Yeah.
When I say I travel light, I do, like I've had a great 7 days. And then today, this morning, for whatever reason, as soon as I woke up, the mind went hard at me. It's been going hard at me for a few hours, but I still know that I can still see it. It's funny because I can picture a body. I'm a little bit separate from it, and then I can picture a mind trying to fuck with that body. I call it a mind fuck. Sorry about the language, but so I'm in that sort of halfway zone or whatever it is where I don't like to call it slipping in and out, but I know what you're saying in here, even though I just can't seem to do it all the time. Yeah. Or not do it.
The thing though with that is, even when it gets the way it is, there's a traveling lighter there. See, the traveling lighter isn't that everything is light. The traveling lighter is no matter how everything is. That's all. It just allows you to travel lighter through the heaviness and whatever else. It doesn't just give you light all the time. Yeah.
And
Yeah, the traveling lighter is just, let's say someone would be upset for 4 hours, now maybe 20 minutes. Yeah, things happen.
yeah,
And you just travel lighter. Things get shorter and as without much volume. Yeah.
yeah, that for sure happens. Like over the last few weeks, things that would really normally get to me just don't. Some things just don't anymore. Like a
Yeah,
gut.
yeah,
And
because
other
you're
things,
outgrowing something.
yeah, and other things get to me still. Like this morning, something did, but not as much. Just for like 10 or 15 seconds, and then I sort of go, "What?" Yeah, yeah,
See, the beautiful thing is people just need a possibility. So let's say you get out of something that you used to never get out of. You've just, a principle has been revealed. Yeah? So basically, whatever you think you've been in, you can get out of. Yeah? It doesn't mean you will, but it's possible. So this is what happens. You start, there's a lot of unspoken assumptions that have a huge influence in what we call Inca or Paul or Rhoda and how Inca and Paul and Rhoda travel. These, the message of non-duality brings this stuff into stark contrast. You get to see it. You get to see that strategy of withholding yourself until the right thing appears, not realizing that your withholding is be turning into an arthritic posture. Yeah? And it's not going to be able to open up when that right thing appears because it just doesn't. Yeah? So this whole idea, or the idea that you're waiting, you're trying to win permission from yourself to be okay, which is another form of slavery. So the mental activity is playing God with you, and it has its little obstacle course and how many points you'll get if you do this and that, and it has you running it every day. So it's withholding. So you wouldn't hold other people to the high standards you're holding yourself because you think you're so fucking special. Yes. But this is all another form of slavery. How are you going to come and see that if you're busy using it to look all day? How are you going to see it if you are busily using all that to look? That's a form of blindness. Yeah? Your looking doesn't go straight. It's all crimped. It's all bent up. And usually it circles back to you. It's just like a loop of self-importance. It just goes out, come back in, out, in, out, in. Yeah? But see, you think this is in, but this is out. So it's out all the time. This is not in. This is not in. This can be seen. This is out. Yeah? So you're in a loop that just out, 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 out. There's never the breath of in and out. It's all out, 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 out. You don't see the understandings that support this. We don't. Yeah, because if you did, you would see how flimsy the floor, Floor, the floor that everything is depending on. You'd see it. Yeah? But no, the misunderstandings just assume that they're the fact, and then the fact of what's always available at all times seems to be completely unavailable, which is incredible. Yeah? It's completely unavailable. You have to go to exotic places and do exotic things to try to make contact. Yeah? This is all misunderstanding. It truly is. And a lot of stuff that we learn fits itself around the misunderstanding. It doesn't bring it into question. But non-duality doesn't move. It just brings it into question. Because it's not yielding. It doesn't want to be absorbed in the two-ness. It's just saying not to. Yeah? It's not saying, oh, I'm going to dance with them and I'll change them while I'm dancing. Nope. You go ask it to dance. It goes not to. Yeah? Not to. It's just a perfect answer. So you're left with your own devices, and maybe you'll see they're not your devices. Yeah.
Oh, David has his hand up.
David B. David B.
Is that okay to share? Yes.
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let me know, yeah, because I was breaking up earlier. But there is this
Well, I
mystery.
see you in one posture, and then you're talking.
Okay, yeah, I
Oh,
see.
now you may move.
Yeah, it looks like the bandwidth. So if I break up too much, just tell me. It's not that important.
Yeah.
So, but it is a mystery, but there is this energy, right, for reality itself to seek reality, to want to know itself, even if that mechanism that's trying to know itself through is destined to fail because it doesn't work like that or doesn't have that capacity, like the eye trying to see the eye.
Yeah.
And when I was, there are times, and especially when I was younger, where it really that energy, that wanting to know really drives one, and the energy itself seems to have a quality of awakeness in a way. It's and it's curious because a lot of people who even carry the message of non-duality did in fact do exactly what you mentioned and expend a tremendous amount of energy just to later on talk about how the energy was misguided and ultimately only served to display its own failure, right?
But that's great. That's great value.
Yeah, it's it's strange because
Oh, no,
sometimes now, like,
you. Hmm?
no, there were times the energy was really more probably more misguided and almost like a desperation in it, and then over time it changes its quality and settles in, and it's interesting to watch, but that some of those misguided tentacles are still in there, like JT was talking about, like wreaking havoc in the mind or whatever, setting up shadow puppets every once in a while. um I don't know, it's just I was curious about that because in a lot of people who came back and said, give up the ghost, there was also a tremendous expenditure up front, right?
Well, yeah, they're trying to save you time
Right.
because they went in. They seem to arrive at it the harder way.
Mhm.
But whatever it takes, it's going to take. But what can effort show you?
Mhm.
What can a failed system show you? It's failed. That's hugely valuable.
Right.
Yeah.
Like they say in business, failure is your most data-rich source of information. Failure is where you learn.
There
Yeah.
you go. Exactly. And after you spend years beating yourself up for the failure, if you can keep looking, there's a lot of value there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that resolution, that rest that starts to set in is just, I don't know. I mean, it seems like a natural, cycle of energy, but I was just curious about that. Yeah.
No one's under the illusion that some of us are going to leave this Zoom and then go on another Zoom and do all that stuff. I
Mhm.
mean, you know, even like let's say for me, in I joke around with some people I know. I'm the only monogamous person in the non-duality. They're going to see tons of people and doing tons of shit all the time. Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't care, but why wouldn't you want to get a warning? That's all.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
not looking for any kind of outcome, but I feel like I was motivated to share it so that maybe it'll save you time, as the Course in Miracles says.
Sure.
Yeah, but I'm not believing. Like you want me to change this whole meeting? I could just read from a book, and what the emails I'll get is, "What was that book?" Every time. Yeah, it's sort of like fishing in a barrel. So yeah, I know all that stuff, and it's going to serve you, but. I'm I'm shooting for being held fondly in the future with you guys.
I mean,
That crazy dude Paul told me a long time ago. There you go.
Yeah, I'm certainly not interested in chasing a wheel of delusion. And there's a
Yeah.
relaxed quality that starts to come into being. I just find it's interesting that reality itself, there's still an energy or a drive of just knowing itself and being itself, I guess. But there's a resolution more, like it's not a chasing after an object or anything. I guess it just seems to settle more into awakeness. I didn't know,
Well, one thing has a sense of chasing. The other one is you're chilling.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have different feeling. Yes.
Yeah, I think also in our society, like our whole society is geared up to chase something. So we just change it from success or whatever else to spiritual success. I mean, that's
For
uh,
sure. For
everything
sure.
around us tells us if we're not chasing something, we're not doing anything valuable with our time. So I think there's a lot of programming there
Yeah,
too. Yeah.
for sure. So basically, a lot of what we do is to convince what we're not to sort of take its foot off the brakes or off the gas. Yeah. So don't be so hard on me. I went on this retreat or something. Maybe. But also another thing in duality, if we're clear about what we're moving towards, we may not be clear what we're moving away from. It's usually your moving towards is directed by a moving away. Yeah,
Mhm.
I feel. Yes, yes.
Mhm.
So as the course says, you're never upset for the reason you think. I don't think you're never clear for the reason you think. I think it's basically whatever reason you think isn't it. So, yeah, yeah.
Mm. And all of the process
So,
is just a happening and a doing, not a doer. It's just like you said.
yes, of course. There's tons of stuff. I mean, you and I as reality is paper thin. Yeah. You put a shot of cocaine in my right arm, my behavior is going to change dramatically. Probably, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have someone 25 years sober and they're real addicts or real alcoholics and they drink, their whole world could be completely turned over in 2 days. Yes.
Absolutely.
So they could have seemed stable for 22 years. You introduce one volatile thing and it can shake up that whole thing because that whole thing isn't stable. Yeah. It's conditionally wired in a sense. Yes.
Mm.
This is a different idea. This wells up from what we are. It's always available at all times, with no requirement necessary to meet it because you are it, other than the ones you make up, the head makes up. Yeah, and so hopefully the understanding of non-duality, open up those requirements, question those requirements your head has about you arriving at where you already are. And so maybe your interest in those requirements will drop and you'll find out I have arrived upon having never left. Yes, that's it. That's the magic of non-duality. Your arrival informs you that you never left. That's beautiful. Yeah.
And I like that you said a welling up. It wells up. Right.
See, if you wanted to have the story about arriving, if you arrived to LA, you don't want to have a hit that I've on having never left. You want to believe you were in Omaha and you went through all this shit to get to LA. There's an investment in that story. So you don't want the reality hitting you on having never left. You want to believe you've arrived. Yeah?
Mm.
Yeah. And for you to arrive, you have to believe you've left. Which isn't true, I feel. Yeah.
Interesting.
So you lose interest in the need to be liberated because you're not that which needs to be liberated. Yeah.
Mm.
I don't need to have a story to convince me that I'm okay anymore. At one time, I needed a lot of drugs and a lot of other things to convince me I was okay, just for a few minutes. Now I'm just okay. Yeah. no matter how unokay other people feel or whatever, or my head informs me of, I'm inherently okay all day. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been,
So I'm not, I mean, there's enough hoops that jump through a day. I don't want to be like, setting up an obstacle course all day to prove something,
yeah.
To me, that's slavery, isn't it?
Yeah.
Paul, I
just-
just want
Yeah,
to check
it's
in.
slavery.
Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you too. Just want to
Oh,
check.
yeah, we have to stop. Yeah, we have to stop.
Oh,
Yeah.
we have two more hands up, so I wanted to check in with you.
Cool.
Yes, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it.
All right.
Hey,
Thank-
Dave, nice to see you, Dave. Yeah,
Thanks,
just
David.
stick with us, you and I. Yes, yeah,
I'm hanging. Cool. Thank you.
I know. Good.
All right, Barbara.
Hi, Paul. Anyways, I was going to keep it
Hey,
pretty
Barbara,
light.
let me
I love.
see if I see you.
Yeah, right here.
I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Can you? Okay. So I was
I
just
can
gonna
hear you.
say- Okay. So I was just going to say I love your background from here because you're appearing in blackness behind you. It's like a black hole, and it's just I'm hearing the message better than going
Oh,
to
yeah.
the future.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of cool. But I was going to just keep it light. I like the hat. It reminds me of a British solicitor, the way it's shooting out off the camera. You look
The
like,
hat,
with the roll
yeah.
thing, the roll wig. It's really cute. I just want
Oh,
to say
yeah,
hi.
yes, yeah, yes, yes. I'm going
I
to
love
court.
it.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it.
Going
Okay,
to court.
that's all.
I'm going to court later. Night court. No, I was Wim Hofing. I was swimming in a very cold lagoon just before the talk, and I'm freezing. My insides, now they've warmed up, so I had to put on my solicitor hat and, a sheepskin thing. And yeah, thank you.
All right,
It's a good look, I think, eh? It's a good look.
we got Eileen next.
Thank you, Barbara. Yeah. Eileen.
Yeah, I'm feeling that maybe I shouldn't say something because it's time to stop. So I could do it another time.
Oh, no, it's up to
Does that
Rhoda. I have no, go ahead for me.
If he's available, it's fine. Go.
Okay. So, I don't know how to say this stuff, but I mean, this is going to seem like it's talking from the past, but I'm aware that it's not really like it's all occurring now. But for
Just go
probably
ahead, honey.
6
It's all right.
months,
Just go ahead.
just talk, yeah. For maybe 6 months or so, spontaneously earlier this year, I had like a really complete detachment from what you call the action figure, the body. And there was just a huge amount of compassion, no matter what was going on. And all other bodies were the same. They were just these like avatars. I don't know how to really explain this, but everything was like it is in a dream, except it was like a waking dream. My eyes were open, but nothing was actually real, if this makes sense. But there was huge amount of compassion. Stuff still happened. I was able to take care of my house, my pets, I went grocery shopping, but it was like, you get what I'm saying? Like nothing, there's nobody doing this. It was just getting on. And that went on pretty
Yes.
much for like 6 months or so. And then one day I kind of woke up or went back to sleep or something. And there was like identification with the action figure, like full on, So I guess my question is, what is that? Is that a fairly common thing? Is it, I know I'm not this action figure, but especially when
Yeah.
there's like emotions happening, or sometimes it even feels like they're not my emotions. It's just walking into like Walmart, and I walk out of Walmart and I feel like so much stuff in the body, like heaviness or sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know. I wondered, if you have anything to say about that.
Well, well, I have a lot to say about Walmart. Yes. I was in the dollar store yesterday. You know, stores
Mhm.
now to $1.25. But I went to the dollar store and I couldn't find what I was looking for. And there's no one that works there other except the cashier. And I joked to her when I finally got to the cashier, and I said I could have been lost in here for hours. It was strange, but the idea that you had this phenomena for 6 months, this is just an opinion, and then then you had it swung another way. That phenomena, let's say that 6 month period, underlying both of that is awakening. Yeah, there's all awakeness. That's all there is. And then you had an appearance of seemingly being awake that for 6 months, and now you entered a period of seemingly being asleep to that. But the awakeness is the awakeness. Yeah. So a lot of times, there's free samples, and then the free sample leaves its mark, and then the other side of the coin flips, and you seem to be back to where it used to be, but things have changed. Yes, yes, yeah,
Right. Like I'm actually aware, saying this to the people, to you all, that I couldn't even speak about this. I don't know how to talk about it, but I'm
yeah,
aware that there's an awareness of appearing to have become identified again. Like there's
yes,
there's awareness of that. Whether it's true or not, it feels like it's true. It feels like I'm Eileen, like a lot of times
yes.
now.
Not
Okay.
true. Again, in a weird way, the other one wasn't true either.
Yeah.
Yes. So basically, it's duality. So there's parts where you're there's that sense of you're in a zone speak and whatever, and then it flips to something else, then some hardship occurs, whatever. Yet on in those movements, on the surface, the bottom is still the bottom. Yes. So and it's not a bottom, but as the imagery. So there's the awakeness, and then it's really cool. Well, a lot of people, when they have a big hit, it goes away a little bit, yeah, because it can get to a point where there may be a psychic break or the Kundalini sometimes presses the organs of the body and puts you in a sense of mortal terror, like you're going to pass away at any minute. So there's things that happen, but underneath it all is uh, is the context of those two contents that you just described very well. Yes?
Right. There's like the only way
Yes.
I
One was much more, in a way, one was much more similar to what you would call awakeness than the other. But in fact, the awakeness is the context of both. Yeah. So, yeah.
okay.
Yeah. It's sort of like you have after all the noise and the whistles, that it's just like a dog shit awareness. You're just incessantly on all the time, sleeping, awake, whatever. Yeah. And
Mhm.
yeah, you don't see it as anything to write home about. Yeah. You just sort of, yet it's quite distinctly different than how you felt it was before. Yeah. But I don't put much attention to it. But yeah, thank you for that share.
Thank you.
And a lot more is going to happen, honey. You know, a lot waves have been set off, and that's not the end of the set, so to speak. You know, like when you're surfing, they you get a bunch of waves. You call them sets. So the set comes in, and then the first wave was great, and then the second wave may be smaller, but then a huge wave may come the third. Yeah, so you've triggered. There's been a triggering of a set of waves. I don't think you're at the last wave, so to speak.
Okay. There's nothing to do.
Yeah.
There's nothing to do. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else, Rhoda?
I just want to check in. Inga had her hand up and then took it down. I just wanted to check in. Inga, did you want to ask a question?
I think I wait till next week. Actually, let me just, yeah, I can't wait. My question really was, there is an evolution in terms of in being able to be in non-duality. And what I mean by that is, if I had heard you speak 5 years ago, I would have left after 2 minutes because I would have been totally clueless. And I'm not saying that now I know that that's where the truth is. But yet there's a sense of, I wouldn't call it efforting, but going towards, or an opening, I think I would call it an opening towards non-duality to be who I am. Does that make any sense?
It does for you, right?
I'm not sure.
But it was communicated clearly. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, if you come around, like a lot of times things go over our heads, and
Yeah.
then you realize that was the point. They were meant to go over our heads. But at first, we're frustrated that we're not catching it, or we think the person's crazy. But you see, there's a huge value that the message goes over your head because you're not your head.
Right.
That's
Right.
the
No, I get that. Yeah.
that's the value. Yeah.
Yeah.
If your head could get it, it would be a housing development, non-duality. It would be they'd be selling portions of it or something. Yeah, but so it goes over our head, and you know, there'll be a set of confusion for a while, but then there's a coming to like a surrender in a way. You realize
Okay.
you've exhausted need to know, and it can't succeed in this endeavor. It's great, really. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so
Yeah.
then now you're open, you can hear it now. Like a lot of people I've met, they don't, it usually, they get in touch with me like 3 years later, and they and they're fucking, they say, man, yeah, thanks. I didn't know what the hell you were saying for years, but now it seems to be clicking. Yeah, well, yeah.
I think that's where I'm at
This
the
is
beginning of that.
yeah. The point is, honey, you keep coming back, so
Yep.
you know it went through a slot, it's going to go through another slot. Yeah, that's how it does. Yeah, yeah. I've watched it. I've been sitting in these seat assignments for 30 years in a way. So I've watched a lot of how things go with the message being expressed and heard, and whatever. And as we say in AA, you trust the process. Because in fact, there is no process, but you trust the process that there is no process. So I find repetition is helpful here because look at what repetition does with the identification as self. Your head is constantly claiming everything to imply it to you. I mean, that's a lot of repetition. So we're just doing a humble repetition every Tuesday, and you'll see it can work wonders. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I count on.
Yeah, I know, Inka. Well, I was happy I met you, Inka, already.
Thank you.
So,
I always I know.
yeah. Who would have thought that was going to happen? So there you
How
go.
wild is that? How wild is that? Yeah.
Yeah. Inka, I just not opened the door, and Inka was on the door thing. She was on the welcome mat. Inka, what are you doing here? No, it was nice to see her.
It was
We
very
had a
nice
little
to-
meeting at our house here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes. All right. Anyone else, Rhoda?
That was the last of the hands. Thanks, Paul.
Well, that's great. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
We have one other new person here, Carol. Reverend Carol is new. She's not been before.
Oh, yeah. Where's Carol? Oh, there's Carol. How are you, Carol?
According to what I've heard tonight, that not here. So
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. So,
nice,
yeah.
nice to have heard.
Nice to see you, Carol.
Deny the
Yeah.
twos. I love it. Thank you.
Oh, great. Yeah. Great. Great. Yes. All right, Rhoda. Well, we'll say goodbye and
Sounds
yeah.
good. Yep. Sounds good.
Yeah. And if anyone is interested too, we have a website, Zen Bitch Slap, you can go to, and there's a lot of audio there. And we do we do some talks on recovery. And we're having a big thing at our house this weekend. So there'll be live Zooms Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. One on Friday, two on Saturday, one on Sunday. And some Zoom people that I've never met are coming. So I've told everyone to bring their pants and because I haven't seen anyone from below the chest. So we'll see what occurs. So we're going to have meetings and we're going to Zoom them all. So
I just threw your website into the chat.
yeah, just zenbitchslap.com. Just go to events and it should be up. We've been having trouble with it, but it should be up there by Thursday or Wednesday. Yeah, all the information. So let me say, Connie, nice to see Connie again. Connie P. There she is. Nice to see you, Connie. Oh, it's not JTM. That's his pseudo name. Yes? Our man from Melbourne. Yeah.
David, yeah.
David.
Yeah.
Hurley. He would be known as David in New York, but it's David.
You guys are the ones with the funny accents, not me.
And there's Eileen, a homegirl. Well, yes. Plainview. We used to rape and pillage, but not Plainview. We were the three towns, Lawrence and the other ones there. We'd go there marauding teenagers. Yes. We've got Barbara. Barbara. Thank you, Barbara. I'm gonna wear something else next week. I don't know. Yeah. We got David B. Nice to see you, David. Yes, you're not. Oh, he's got a better style hat. Yeah, it's this is just for Northern California. That's for Michigan. Yeah, that's a different beast. Awakening Together Sanctuary, Rhoda. Thank you for reminding me of my commitment. I appreciated it.
No problem.
Thank you. George, nice to see you down there. Yeah, there he is. John R. We've got Inka, Carol, Jacqueline, We got Victoria. We got Radio Computer. There's Victoria. Nice to see you. Deborah from Alberta, Canada. Andy W. Shama. I think that's it. Hey, thanks everyone. Appreciate seeing everybody. See you next week. Yes. Take care, Eileen. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.